does 2 o'clock meeting
What
start?
time does 2 o'clock meeting start?
Right now, 2 o'clock. Okay, I'd like to open up the Spark City Council meeting of 2 o'clock, which is the time of the meeting, 6/25/2018. Please with a roll call.
Mayor Martini,
Here.
council members Abbott,
Here.
Lawson,
Here.
Smith,
Here.
Bybee,
Here?
Dare,
Here.
City Attorney Adams,
Here.
City Manager Driscoll.
Here.
We have a quorum, thank you.
Okay, before we do opening ceremonies and the invocation, I'd like to do a moment of silence, please, for one of our fire chiefs that passed away this weekend. He was one of now 6, was 8. We had 8 chiefs that were still alive that succeeded from working for the fire department and going all the way up to chief. So the 2 that passed away, Bill Farr passed away recently, and also now Andy Flock. So now we have 6 out of those, of the 8 that did that, are still alive. So, you know, Andy was a good man. He was really a good guy. I liked him. He filled up a room when he walked in. You know, he had a very great presence about him. He always spoke very nicely about people and to people. I never saw him really be mean to people, like some people are, but he was just a good man, and I miss him a lot. He's somebody I respected, I enjoyed talking with. So if we could have just a moment of silence for Andy Flock, I'd appreciate it, please. Thank you.
There's no way I can put this on your speaker. It's okay.
Okay. Thank you, and rest in peace, Randy, my friend. Okay. Next, we have opening ceremonies, invocation speaker, Pastor Barb West, Sparks Church of the Nazarene. Is Barb here? Okay. Barb's not here. Christopher, are you there?
I am here.
Can you do the prayer for us, please? Christopher's
I'd be
a
honored
pastor.
to.
He's our Councilman Ward 5, and he's a pastor, so if you'd all stand, please. Go ahead, Christopher.
Dear Lord, we come to you and we thank you for today. And Lord, we do take a moment and lift up Andy and his family. And we pray that, Lord, you walk with them during this time that was very unexpected. I do pray for the conversations we have today, the things that we look to, the things that we're looking for our future. And I pray you guide us, give us wisdom. Thank you for our city and all the great things that get to happen. Lord, I pray that you walk with every first responder, all of our military that are out there taking their life put in the way so we can have freedom. Thank you, Lord, for all you do. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Christopher. Very appropriate, and I appreciate you doing that for us. Thank you. Next, if you'd all remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, Ms. Bybee, would you lead us, please?
I'd be honored to. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, everybody. Now we have public comment. If you want to make a public comment, please fill out one of these cards and give it to the clerk, and we'll get you out for 3 minutes. First, I have Spencer Erickson, followed by Jody Erickson.
You're fine, just put it on the screen.
Council members, you have a copy of these same minutes?
Hey, Ron, you got to put yourself on mute if you're going to be talking like that, please.
Okay.
No
We
problem.
haven't started the 3 minutes yet, have we? If you did start it over, please.
Good afternoon. For the record, my name is Spencer Erickson. I live at 2265 Stoneview Drive in the Vistas. I'd like to speak today about the proposed plan for townhomes on the empty lot, at the top of Los Altos Parkway, and the associated rezoning request and development agreement. This is item PCN 18-19, and it will come before the council next month. The Planning Commission heard this item at their June 7th meeting, and over 200 of my neighbors showed up to speak against it. I know Ms. Bybee was there, and I urge the other councilmen that weren't to watch the video of that hearing to get a better understanding of the public opposition to this project. I'd like to show you just a couple maps to illustrate the problems we have with this townhome plan. The first map here is from the 1988 Vistas Master Plan in white, which shows the original intention for a high-density village at the center of the Vistas development. There's several apartment complexes noted, along with a large park, a community center, a fire station, and even some townhomes. The next map shows that same map overlaid on what actually got built within the Vistas. Now, as you can see, the school and the park were moved away from the center. The fire station and community center were abandoned, and 2 of the 3 apartment complexes and the townhomes were built up as single-family homes instead. In fact, the entire Vistas have been built up as single-family homes. The only unbuilt lot still remaining from the original village is the one in question here. And that should be abundantly clear. High-density use on that lot no longer fits with the existing surrounding land use of solely single-family homes. Even the designation of that lot as MF14 in the Sparks Comprehensive Land Use Plan is an anomaly. If you look at this, it's kind of hard to see, but here's our lot in question, Top of Los Altos. Anything that's in this turquoise color on the map is multifamily. And there's not a single other lot in this entire plan that has a multifamily designation surrounded exclusively by single-family homes. Every other multifamily is adjacent to commercial, open space, large parks, things that reflect the language in the Sparks Zoning Code. Sparks Zoning Code Title 20 says that the stated intention of multifamily zoning is to be near activity centers and to buffer single-family neighborhoods from higher density residential, commercial, or mixed-use areas. Per the original Vistas master plan, multifamily on this lot made sense and met those requirements. Given how the Vistas were actually built, however, the MF14 designation on this lot looks to be simply a holdover from that earlier plan, and it no longer applies. I hope the council will keep these points in mind when you're deciding this item, and that you'll reach the same conclusion as me and my neighbors, that townhomes don't fit, and if the lot is to be developed, it should be as single-family homes in conformance with the rest of the Vistas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Erickson, I appreciate it. Jody Erickson, followed by Shirley Berkshire.
All right. For the record, my name is Jody Erickson. I live at 22 Stoneview Drive, also in the Vistas. And my husband's an engineer. I'm a school teacher. I'm out during the summer, and we've planned a vacation to Scotland to get away from the heat. That's why we're here, because we wanted to personally talk to you because we feel strongly about this. So if you look at an aerial map of the lot in question, let's see, it's right here, and it looks like, oh, there's ample space. But if you look at a picture of this lot, it is very sloped, and it's surrounded by single-family homes. I've spoken to some of my neighbors that are bedbound, they can't leave, and they're gonna have to listen to the construction. The developer met with homeowners, and he told us that, you know, he was going to build the townhomes as they were sold, so construction could go on for years, and the noise of this development. And right at the small roundabout is a point that a whole bunch of the children use. They cross the street right here at this roundabout to walk down to Bud Beasley School. And since the city is now not going to bus students as far, we're going to have more students using that roundabout. The traffic's awful, okay? And lots of my neighbors have spoken about the traffic issues. But what I don't really understand is the developer came to the Planning Commission and asked to put in 64 apartments, and the neighborhood showed up, said we didn't want them, and the Planning Commission, all but one, voted against that, saying it wasn't consistent with surrounding use. And then he came, and he hadn't even purchased the property. He had just put in an offer. So he had his rezoning denied by the Planning Commission. He went forward with the offer, and he came up with a development plan for what he called luxury townhomes. There's nothing in the development agreement that guarantees these are going to be luxury townhomes. That's just like a word. Down the street on Los Altos, there's luxury apartments, okay? Miramonte's going to be building 450 probably luxury townhomes just off of Los Altos. Down by the swimming pool, there's going to be more townhomes. We don't need townhomes. The expectation, as my husband mentioned, was that all of these areas that were supposed to be like kind of high density homes became single family homes. And as a homeowner, we kind of expect that this would be single family homes and that it wouldn't be, 75, townhomes crammed in here with presumably their overflow parking, going into our neighborhood. So I really urge you, to look at the public comments and consider, the surrounding land use when you make this decision. Thank you.
Shirley Berkshires. Next is, after that is Bill Wagner. Welcome, Shirley.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. 2 weeks ago, I appeared before you about our landscaping problems in Mesa Meadows. Well, one thing was addressed, but we have a problem that has been ongoing since May the 10th about a leak around one of the sprinkler heads, and it is still leaking almost 8 weeks later. Now, since June the 12th, the city water has been coming on every day, 3 times a day. I called Chris Cobb on the 13th and told him about this happening and thought perhaps the timer had malfunctioned. He told me that he would report this to Greg Topel from Signature and try to get this corrected. Well, folks, nothing has changed. And I've been keeping a record since then, and it is still watering 3 times a day that I'm aware of. We cannot turn off the rest of the sprinklers. I said the worst part of this, I missed a line. Worst part of this is that on my side of the street, the city owns a small part of the lawn we share. And that means on my scheduled day to water, part of my yard is being watered 5 times in one day. Since this water is spraying up on my lawn, we would have to hand water it ourselves to prevent the rest of our lawn from dying if we turned the sprinkler sets off. My husband finds it a little bit soggy when he tries to mow our side yard. Something needs to be done, and I know that I am exasperated trying to get this corrected. I have spoken to Chris Cobb several times about this with no success. We are paying the city for taking care of our landscaping, and we are getting the runaround, and we are being ignored. It is up to this council to see that this is addressed immediately, because all of this is a waste of our most precious resource, and that is our water. If anyone wishes to see the record I am keeping, I will gladly show it to you. This needs to be corrected now. The residents out here are tired of waiting for action from the landscaping company. I have a record here showing my pocket calendar. And the numbers in red are the numbers of days and how many times it has watered each day. One day it rained, so I wasn't aware if it came on or not, because I wasn't out looking for it. But anyway, there was only one day, I think that was two times. The rest of it is 3 times in one day. That's ridiculous. I hope this can be addressed. Thank you.
Thanks, Shirley. Bill Wagner, followed by Grace Loveleen. Welcome, Bill.
Welcome. For the record, my name is Bill Wagner, and I live in the Vistas. And I'm here to talk about 225S Los Altos Parkway. But first, before I start, I would like to congratulate Ed, Ron, and Charlene for your election victories. The city of Sparks is very lucky to have you qualified individuals representing us.
You will. You're right.
Thank you.
Now, I have a question for you folks, and I don't expect you to answer it right away, but hopefully this will get addressed later on. Because of the current and future housing growth, particularly the backside of Belmar, where I envision 50 to 100 homes yet to be built. Do you have a master plan, or will you develop a master plan in the near future for widening the city-owned North Los Altos Parkway Road? So that's my deal for today.
I see the manager writing your question down, Bill, so it will be addressed.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Grace Loveleen, followed by Kathleen Evanson.
Thank you for hearing me out. Since I discovered I have a voice, I now can come over here and address all the problems we have. First of all, I wanted to congratulate Chris Cobb because he is really going to bat for us. He's really trying. It's a frustrating job when you have a signature landscape company that doesn't do what they're supposed to do. But my issue is different. It's about code enforcement. There are homes right across from me that have had a TV set sitting out there, a ladder, a broken basketball plaything, and the grass is just splotchy. There are a lot of homes. There's another home farther down the block that has 2 cars with flattened tires that have been there for all winter. What can be done about these things? I hate to be the one to turn them in because I just feel like they're my neighbors. But yet, what can be done? Do we not have a person from the city that can go around and rather patrol the area and see that these things are being collected, garbage people? What can be done? Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. And again, the manager will get back to you with an answer.
All right, thank you.
Kathleen Evanson, followed by Chris Kim Cisnewski.
Thank you. My name is Kathleen Evanson, and I live at 2265 Calabria Drive. And the last time I spoke to you folks was the day after Memorial Day, and I introduced myself as the person that filed the tree complaint for Toscana and DeAndrea. What you're being passed out now, and I'm here again because both boards of DeAndrea and Toscana don't seem to have any respect for the homeowners or the city of Sparks or our council. Because since I've seen you, what you have is page 5 of the DeAndrea Community Association Design Review Guidelines. And you can see on page 5 that it was approved by their directors on May 23rd, 2018, sent to the membership on June 8th, effective July 8th. And under trees, it says, trees may be removed from the rear yard without first seeking approval. Trees in the front yard or side yard visible from the street may be removed but must receive prior written approval from the DRC. Stumps must be removed, cut off at the ground level or ground down. This is the latest communication from the board. And as far as I'm concerned, it's giving people it's not saying you can remove them, but it must be replaced. And the PUD says we need to have a tree in the front yard. And here again, it's just more conflict of communications, and I thought you folks should know. I sent you folks all an email on the Wednesday after Labor Day that 2 trees came down that day. The following Saturday, another tree came down. Right now, there are 4 to 7 houses in a row with no trees. And Gino knows, he lives there.
Exactly on that same street.
On Corleone.
Corleone, well, I have one on, I live on, I forgot where I live. I live on Cosenza, and I have the same thing, 5 or 6 in a row. No, it
Yeah,
doesn't- and it
because-
Doesn't look good.
Because with communication like this, and then one neighbor does it, and the next neighbor says, oh, yeah, they took their tree out, I can do it, you know? And the board, the one that went down Saturday, I sent a letter to Louise Brennan and asked her to please stop it, and she did nothing. Okay?
Well, I know code enforcement is working on it and have sent out some letters, and we're going to take action. It's a matter of legal process and all that kind of stuff, I think. So I don't know exactly where we're at, but we're looking to take action.
Is Jim here?
Rundle?
Uh-huh.
I didn't see him in the audience. He's the
Okay.
one that's, he's the one
Yeah.
that's working on it.
I've been in touch with Jim.
Okay,
He's
good.
been very
So
gracious.
you know what's going on there.
Uh-huh, thank you.
You bet. Okay, Kim Cisnewski? That's all the cards I have, so if you want to speak under public comment, fill one out. Last chance. Go ahead, Kim.
Good afternoon. Thank you. I'm Kim Sosinski from 39 North Downtown, and I'm here to report on some really good things. Yesterday, we had the Lavender and Honey Festival in downtown, and it was a very successful event. I don't even know if we can get the count yet. We hope to have that in the next couple days, but there was a huge crowd and very successful. We had over 100 vendors.
Good coverage on Channel 2, I saw.
Oh,
Very
good.
Yeah.
That's great. Angela Handler, who put this event together from our board, spent hundreds and hundreds of hours, not only on this, but the marketplace, and it turned out really well. I talked to, I don't know, probably 50 people, and over half of them were from out of town. A lot of them weren't from the Sacramento area, which was surprising, it's way from Fallon. So we did have probably over half not from this area, which I think is very successful. The second thing we're working on is public art. We are working with a professional artist to get a mural downtown using as apprentices the Boys and Girls Club. So we'll be having more detail in that in the next couple weeks. And then finally, I would like to talk about public art because this committee was started a couple years ago, and I'm so proud that the city has kind of stepped forward and done something, which I think is great. I have long-term studied programs in public art, and they ultimately are not successful if they don't have underlying funding. And I know lately you've had some really great grants and various things that come through, but long-term it just doesn't work. It has to have some underlying funding to make it successful long-term. And so what we would like to propose is that when you look at the funding long-term for marijuana, the money that is coming in for that 15% of it, whatever it happens to be, would go toward public art. And I think that would get the underlying funding necessary. The city of Sparks and many other cities make this underlying funding from developers. And I think this would be a very easy way to get the funding we need for this city to improve our city and to get it from a different source. And that's all I have today. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. And as far as the marijuana money, I don't think we've got all the rules and regulations down yet and know what it can be used for. But that's certainly one that we'll keep in mind, I'm sure.
Mr. Mayor, if I might, in prior policy setting related to the budget, marijuana revenue as a funding source is one that you've agreed to have on an ongoing basis and year to year. So Mrs. Zinsky and I had a conversation about this very topic and her proposal, and I'd asked her to bring it to you. So it'd be something as we have policy discussion next year in the February timeframe, would be kind of, if we haven't had a different conversation before then, that would be time and place for us to bring that up. So it'll be part of the notes that we bring forward for all of the funding needs that we have and those funding sources. You have a couple identified already, and this is one that has potential if you so choose it.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Well, you and I won't be here for that discussion, so I won't worry about it.
Well, I'll be here for the I'll be here to start the conversation. I may not be here for the end.
I will certainly be here, so you will see me.
I'm sure the council, the rest of them that got elected will be here, I'm sure.
Hey, Kim, too, you had a great deal at the Lavender event yesterday. And just by my fuzzy math, I'm sure there's easily 15,000 people there.
I agree.
At minimum.
Wow, that's awesome. And like I said, Channel 2 had very good coverage, Kim, so And I'm sure if they did, the other channels did too, or they missed out. Okay, let's move on to number 5, approval of the agenda. Anybody want to take anything out of order? If not, looking for a motion? Teresa, I don't think my screen is working.
No.
Or Julie, I don't think my screen is working.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, go ahead, Charlie, make a motion.
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
You have a second? That's for me. Okay, moved by Charlene Bybee, seconded by Ed Lawson
Okay.
to approve the agenda as outlined by staff. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please vote or say aye. Christopher?
I think that was Ron.
That was Ron, I know. Okay, so,
Aye.
right, from what I heard, passes unanimously. What I see on the screen passes unanimously. Okay. Number 6.1, consideration and possible approval of the minutes of the regular Sparks City Council meeting of June 11, 2018. Any omissions, deletions, or corrections? Okay, seeing none, Mr. Abbott.
Move to approve.
Do we have a second, Ms. Bybee?
I'll second.
Moved by Mr. Abbott, seconded by Ms. Bybee to approve the minutes as outlined by staff in June 11th. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote or say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, announcements, presentations, proclamation Alzheimer's Brain Awareness Month and the longest day. Is anyone here to accept this? Come on down, please. I'll go ahead and read the proclamation. If you could just both give me your names for the record, and then I'll hand it to you, and then you can have your say. City of Sparks proclamation. Whereas today, there are 5.7 million Americans living with Alzheimer's dementia, excuse me, the 6th leading cause of death in America and a disease without a cure. And whereas there are currently more than 43,000 people with Alzheimer's dementia living in the state of Nevada, over 1,000 of whom reside in Sparks, and additionally another 3,000 caregivers in Sparks who are caring for a loved one with Alzheimer's. And whereas researchers are making great progress in developing ways to accurately diagnose and treat Alzheimer's disease, and the federal and state government need to accelerate the pace of that research to develop disease-altering treatment by 2025. And whereas the Alzheimer's Association is making June as Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month, and Thursday, June 21st as the longest day, and asking residents of Sparks to visit www.alz.org to learn more about Alzheimer's disease and get involved in the fight against Alzheimer's. Now, therefore, I, Gino R. Martini, Mayor of the City of Sparks, Nevada, do hereby proclaim June 2018 June 2018 as Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month, and June 21st, 2018 as the longest day. Thank you. So I can't come down, so if I could get you to step up and take the proclamation, yes, please. Or here, you do it. And if you want to step up with her, you can. There'll be a picture opportunity for you. Thanks, Ed. I appreciate that. You lucked out today. You got Ed to stand with you. He's much more handsome than I am, and he comes out in the picture much better than I do. You guys lucked out. Okay, so if you're going to speak, just give me your name for the record, and then go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Martini and council members. My name is Molly Ellery. I'm a volunteer and board member for the Alzheimer's Association here in Northern Nevada.
And for the record, my name is Anna Karen Lamas. I am the Nevada State Affairs Lead for the Alzheimer's Association. And I want to start off by saying thank you, Mayor and City Council members, for just such a gracious acknowledgement of this disease. Because as we know, unfortunately, these numbers year by year are climbing. And as of now, we are up to about 47,000 Nevadans who are affected with this illness. And this number is projected to grow to 67,000 by 2025. And we do have to work collaboratively within the state, federal, and local governments to figure out ways in which we can continue to enhance the supportive services for family caregivers and those who are directly impacted with this illness. And I do want to thank you and the city council members for allowing us to be here and for supporting us in our efforts to raise awareness on this disease.
And
Well, go ahead.
sorry, as a very quick note, before some of you leave office, as I'm sure you know, in September we do have the Walk to End Alzheimer's, and that is something we would love to see all of you at. We know you've continued to support this initiative, and we'd love to have you there, particularly you, Mayor Martini, as this, before you leave office, we'd love to celebrate your tenure and your support.
Thank you. You know, I'm sure we all know someone that has this disease or is a caregiver for this disease, so it's pretty devastating. I've seen several people that I know have had it, and it's very, very, we all know what the end is gonna be here. I mean, it's not a secret, is it, what's gonna happen, or where they're gonna go? So like I said, it's devastating and it's very hurtful, so.
Yes, and if
Thank you
you,
guys for, go ahead, Charlene.
yes, thank you.
Could you, on the Alzheimer's Walk, could you give us a date, a location, and how people would get more information? Because I think it's fundraising, so you can do, I'm sure all of that is online, but then for my calendar too, could you share that with us?
Absolutely. Would you like us to share a copy electronically as well? We have brochures that we've carried with us.
Both, but right now we're Facebook Live too, so we have a bigger audience. We have millions and millions of people that are watching worldwide.
Perfect. So the event takes place at our very lovely Sparks Marina on Saturday, September 29th this year. The walk kicks off at 9 a.m., but we would love to have you come volunteer, meet some of the families that are affected, as well as some of the groups in town that are helping to support the disease right around 8 or 8:30. You take a walk around the marina, you fill out a memory flower that goes into the memory garden. It's a very joyous and happy event. You can sign up online at www.alz.org. And that website it's national, but it will help you either start a local team or join another team and raise funds through Facebook and any other means you see fit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, ladies, appreciate it. Okay, let's move on to consent items, 8.1 and 8.2. Anybody want to pull a consent item? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion, please. Mr. Lawson,
Move to approve consent items 8.1 and 8.2.
have a second? Donald?
I'll second.
We have a motion by Mr. Lawson, seconded by Mr. Abbott to approve the consent items 8.1 and 8.2. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote or say aye.
Aye.
Okay, you go ahead and display. Passed unanimously, thank you. Let's move on to general business. Consideration, discussion, and possible approval of the mayor's recommendation of appointment to Parks and Recreation Commission. And I think it's Brad Fitch has been recommended, and then Andrea Tavner as a re-up, I believe. Is Tracy here? No, okay. So any questions about the choices for Parks? If not, looking for a motion. Ms. Bybee.
I move to confirm the mayor's appointments of Brad Fitch and Andrew Tavner to the Parks and Recreation Commission for terms that will expire on June 30th, 2021.
Mr. Abbott.
A second.
I have a motion by Ms. Bybee, second by Mr. Abbott to approve 9.1 as outlined by staff. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote or say aye.
Aye.
Passed unanimously, thank you. Consideration, discussion, and possible approval of the mayor's recommendation of appointment to Civil Service Commission from the following pool of in alphabetical order. And I think the appointees are Mr. Benton and Mr. Louis Daria. Any questions? If not, looking for a motion. Mr. Lawson.
Move to confirm the mayor's two appointments of, say the names.
Scott Benton and Louis Daria.
Yes, ma'am.
Did I mess up? It's okay. It's okay. If I messed up, it's not okay.
No, there's three. There's three.
Ah. So the other one would be Kayleen Spinhern.
Yes.
Sorry.
No problem.
So repeat the names so I can put them in the motion.
Sure. It's Scott Benton, Louis Daria, and Kaylee Spinner.
Yeah.
Perfect.
There you go.
to the Civil Service Commission for terms that will expire June 30th, 2021? And who's the one appointment to serve the partial term?
You know, did you,
I think it was Scott Benton.
yeah, it's
Scott
either
Benton.
Scott Benton, the two new ones, Blue Daria is a reappointment.
Yeah, I think it was Scott Benton.
Scott Benton to serve the
Yep.
partial term expiring June 30th, 2019.
Yeah, what she said, you're right. The motion is what she said. Good.
What she said.
Any further discussion? Not, please vote or say aye.
Aye.
You get a second?
I'll second it, but.
Mr. Abbott's a second. Okay, sorry, I messed up everything there. Okay, please vote. And I heard the ayes. Passes unanimously. Sorry about that. I had them marked down on the other, but I forgot my, and I don't have them marked down here. All right, number 9.3, consideration possible approval of an appointment to the Truckee Meadows Water Authority Board of Directors due to a vacancy by the mayor, Mayor Martini resigning his position, and a possible subsequent appointment to the alternate position in the event of a vacancy. So what I'm looking for here is, I wanted to resign from Tumwa. First of all, they appointed a new CEO or chairman of the board. So I wanted to give Christopher a chance to get his feet on the ground with Tumwa. You know, he's well engaged and he's been doing it for a while since I've been gone anyway. So just wanted to get him officially appointed. And then you can pick somebody to be a backup to Christopher, but I'm sure you won't have to worry about that because he'll make most meetings. So I'm looking for a motion then to approve Christopher Dare, and then please tell me who you want as a alternate. Anybody want to, Ed? Okay, Ed is volunteering, Ed Lawson.
So, Mr. Mayor?
yes,
If we could have two separate motions, it would be better for the record.
You got it. So looking for a motion to appoint Chris Dare. Mr. Lawson,
I move to appoint Christopher Dare to the Truckee Meadows Water Authority Board of Directors.
Mr. Abbott,
I'll second that.
Lawson, and Abbott is a second. All in favor, say aye or vote.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Okay, now we want to appoint Ed Lawson as the alternate to Tumwa. Looking for a motion, Mr. Abbott.
I move to appoint Ed Lawson as an alternate to the Truckee Meadows Water Authority Board of Directors.
Ms. Bybee.
I'll second that.
Motion by Abbott, seconded by Bybee to appoint Ed Lawson as the alternate to Tumwa. Any further discussion? Okay, say aye or vote.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you, I appreciate that. Okay, 9.4, consideration, discussion, and possible appointment to the Regional Planning Governing Board for a 3-year term for the following pool of applicants. Abbott, Dare, Martini, Nutt, and Ron Smith. I believe it's Donald Abbott, is that correct?
Who's coming off?
I think it's just
Well, I
to
think
reappoint
your
me.
term is up, right?
I think so.
Donald?
It's just
Yeah.
a reappointment.
It's reappointment of Donald Abbott is what it is.
I was filling Gino's, I think.
So I'm looking for a motion then to approve Donald Abbott as the appointee to the Regional Planning Governing Board. Any discussion? Motion, Ms. Bybee.
I move to approve Donald Abbott.
Have a second, Ms. Bybee.
Nobody asked you.
Your name isn't on the board here, Christopher.
Oh, sorry.
He really wants me on there, though.
I guess I'll do a second.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Dare, wherever he's at, and a second by Ms. Bybee to approve Mr. Abbott to the Regional Planning Governing Board. Any questions? Okay, say aye or please vote.
Aye. Aye.
Passes unanimously.
Donald's gonna be the chair of that board starting. in
That's
July.
right, that's good. Okay, 9.5, consideration, discussion, and possible appointment of 2 committees to prepare arguments and rebuttals advocating, opposing, and approval of the advisory question adopted by the Resolution 3334 on May 29, 2018, asking voters in the office of the Sparks City Attorney should continue to be an elected nonpartisan office from the following pool of candidates listed in alphabetical order: Holes, Jacobson, LaVerviere, Marsh, Tina Spencer, Dennis White. Go ahead, Mrs. Gardner.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. As you may remember, on May 29th, you approved Resolution Number 3334, which authorized us to place an advisory question on the November general ballot, asking Sparks voters if the office of Sparks City Attorney should continue to be an elected, nonpartisan office within Sparks government. NRS Chapter 295.217 requires me as your clerk to locate persons willing to serve on a team to provide the arguments and rebuttals for that advisory question. You have the option to go ahead and appoint 2 committees, one that is in favor of the question and one that is in opposition of the question. If you choose not to do this by committee, then it would revert back to me writing those arguments with consultation with the city attorney. Because of the time constraints, I recruited members from the Charter Committee, knowing that they were educated in this area of appointed versus elected attorneys. And we did get volunteers to serve. Not that they are strictly in favor or opposed, but they did feel that they could write the arguments on both sides. So we had 3 volunteer to write in support and 3 volunteer to write in opposition.
So you want to tell us who each of those are, who's in support, and who's not, who's against?
Yes.
Opposition?
In support would be Gary Halls, Bob Jacobson, and Dennis White.
Okay.
And to write in opposition would be Bob LaRiviere, Zanny Marsh, and Tina Spencer.
Okay.
So if you would like to appoint those 2 committees, they will start work on that.
Okay.
And we will have the arguments and the rebuttals completed by July 20th to have it submitted to the Washoe County Registrar of Voters to be included on the general ballot.
Very good. And you know, I've served on one of these committees before, Teresa, and council. This is not fun and it's not easy to do, believe me. It's hard work to come up with the right verbiage and things to make these things sound correctly and put them on a ballot. So you got to realize when you write these things, there's how many people are going to see these and read them and maybe know who wrote them. So you really have to work hard on these things, and it's difficult. And I'd hate to see Teresa have to write both sides of these. I don't think that's a good idea. So I would be in favor of these nominations, and I can't vote, obviously, but I just want to give you my opinion. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
You want to discuss, Mr. Driscoll? Go ahead.
I do want to put on the record that the folks that are doing the writing, it's based on them asking and answering the questions. It doesn't mean that that's necessarily how they feel or how they might vote in the future.
Yep.
It is satisfying the requirement to have both sides represented and to do the best possible job we can. So while this issue might come up in front of Charter Committee members in the future, this would not be something that on its own would be a conflict of interest in the future. There could be conflicts for others, but not just because they're involved in the process. So.
Well, as I recall, when I did this, the 3 that did it, that volunteered to do it, were for whatever we did. I can't remember, it was a tax thing that we put to the voters, and we were in favor of it, and the 3 that did the opposition were definitely opposed. So it was a different kind of dynamic here, I guess, is what you're saying. So, did you have something to say, Ms. Charlene? Or
I
you-
think it does too.
Go ahead, Ed.
I'm ready to make a motion.
Oh,
Shoot,
If you're ready.
you can make a motion, I'll second and then comment.
Yep, go
I'm
ahead.
gonna move to appoint Gary Hughes, Bob Jacobson, and Dennis White to the argument committee in favor of the advisory question, and Bob LaRiviere, Zanny Marsh, and Tina Spencer to the argument committee in opposition of the advisory question.
Ms. Bybee.
And then I have a comment after.
I'll second that with comment.
A motion by Mr. Lawson, second by Ms. Bybee. Comments, Ms. Bybee?
I appreciate that it is the Charter Committee that will be writing this. I think you're exactly right. Their understanding of the process and just their experience and knowledge, I think, is valuable. I also think it is something that we should have citizens that are writing that with the help from legal to make sure that we're wording it correctly and that legally it's sound to put on the ballot. But I think that input from residents, from citizens is extremely important. And so I'm glad you came up with the 2 groups. And I think, I know most of them, and I think they will do a really good job. So I appreciate the angle that, you know, how we are doing this. I think it's important to the process. So thank you.
Yeah, and I do appreciate the Charter Committee's willingness to step up because I know it is a lot of work for them.
That is, so. Okay, any other comments? If not, go ahead, Ed, I'm sorry.
So, and this, just for public record, this is an advisory question. The Charter Committee can vote however they see fit in the future.
True story.
Okay.
We have a motion by Mr. Lawson, seconded by Ms. Bybee. Any further discussion? If not, please vote or say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Are you doing the next one, Teresa?
I am.
9.6, canvass the vote and declare the results of the 2018 primary election. Go ahead, Eric.
Okay, Teresa Gardner, your city clerk. It is my pleasure to present to you the results of the June 12, 2018 primary election. As a county, Washoe County had a voter turnout of 26.9%. The city of Sparks, for the race of mayor, had a voter turnout of 25.38%, and Ward 4 had a voter turnout of 31.56%. As a result, for mayor, there were 4 candidates. Ron Smith received 61.04% of the votes, and Councilmember Bybee there was 3 candidates for Ward 4. She received 71.38%, with our charter, we can declare both of them elected because they've received more than the majority of the votes cast. So congratulations.
And Mr. Lawson did nothing, he still got elected.
Mr. Lawson for Ward 2 and James Spoo for Municipal Judge Department 2 were both unopposed. So they too are declared elected for the 2018 election. Congratulations.
All right, we'll let it go then, Mr. Lawson. Not bad. Good job.
So I do need for council to declare the results of the primary election official and confirm the members.
Okay, motion, Ms. Bybee.
I move to declare the results of the 2018 primary election official and confirm James Spoo for Judge Department 2, Ed Lawson for Council Ward 2, Charlene Bybee for Council Ward 4, and Ron Smith for Mayor.
Second, Mr. Abbott.
Yep, I'll second that.
Moved by Ms. Bybee, seconded by Mr. Abbott to approve 9.6. Is that allowed by staff? Any further discussion?
I have comment.
Comment, Ms. Bybee, go ahead.
I would just like to say that I'm humbled by the support that I received, and looking forward to working for the residents in Ward 4 and for the whole city. I mean, we are elected by ward only now, but I look at the work that we do. We make decisions that are citywide, so I'm not only representing Ward 4, I'm representing the whole city, but I'd like to thank the voters of Ward 4 for their confidence in me, and a big shout out for the 31.56% voter turnout in my ward. Very high voter registration in Ward 4 and higher voter turnout, so I thank them for that and give a shout out to Ward 4. Thanks.
You know, and certainly Mr. Smith and Ms. Bybee should see this as a mandate of the voters, with a 71% for Ms. Bybee and 61% for Mr. Smith, with Mr. Smith again with 4 other candidates. That's really great support by both of those. I appreciate the votes that they got and the people who have spoken. I believe. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote or say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Go and display, passes unanimously. Thanks, that's your Teresa, yeah, okay. 9.7, consideration and possible acceptance of the State of Nevada Office of the Attorney General Services Training Officers Prosecutors Stop Violence Against Women Formula Grant AC 5485 in the amount of $75,471 to fund the existing victim advocate position. Go ahead, Mr. Crowell. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Mr. Manager. For the record, my name is Pete Kroll, Deputy Chief of Police for the Sparks Police Department. Here on behalf of Chief Allen, who's away on a much-deserved vacation, I brought with me today Sergeant Tara Bell to help answer questions in regards to this grant. She is the subject matter expert.
I don't know about that. For the record, Sergeant Tara Bell with the Sparks Police Department. I'm here to ask for possible consideration and acceptance of the STOP grant that was awarded to our agency and our city on behalf of the State of Nevada Office of the Attorney Generals. In 2015, Adam Laxalt, the Attorney General of the State of Nevada, initiated a victim services pilot project grant program in Washoe County. The Sparks Police Department was invited to participate and was initially awarded $46,369 in 2015.
$64,459 in 2016, and $64,426 in 2017 to fund 75% of the salary for a secondary victim advocate position for our police department to serve our victims of Sparks. If accepted, this award will continue to fund 75% of the additional victim advocate's annual salary through June 30th of 2019. This year, we were fully awarded the full 75% of funding for this position as well, which is the total amount of $75,471. The total match amount allocated to the city as a responsibility is $25,157. This position was budgeted in the fiscal year 19 as a fully funded position and is accounted for in this year's fiscal budget.
Questions? Mr. Lawson?
Good job.
Excellent job.
We love it when we can use other people's money.
Yes.
Thank you.
Other people's money
That's
is
an
always
important
good.
position for us too.
Yeah.
So good job for everybody.
Thank you to you, Pete and Jennifer, Richard Sergeant, very good, excellent, we appreciate it, and that money will be well used, I know.
Thank you.
Okay, comments, or? Comment, go ahead, Ms. Bybee.
So the difference now we'd have a second advocate, correct?
Correct.
Because have we been operating with just one, or have we had the second one?
Well, actually, our
Wow.
very initial position that we received was also through similar funding, through VOCA and VAWA funds, which is the Victims of Crime Act, and then the Violence Against Women Act. The funding is very similar. And we began funding a victim advocate position through grant funding to obtain our first position. Over time, we were able to absorb that position fully into our department's budget through the city and the general fund. And we are essentially moving on through the same process with our second advocacy. The demand is very high to make sure that advocates are working with our victims. And this position primarily focuses on victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and services like temporary protective orders against domestic violence and extended protection orders.
So you've seen good results for prosecution as well as providing the services for the victims. I mean, what would you say is the highest benefit? Obviously, the advocates are needed, and unfortunately, sad commentary, with the domestic violence issues that we face. But what would you say the difference of having an advocate or having two advocates with the city has meant to the victims and to prosecution?
I think if you were to ask the victim advocates themselves, success would have many different looks towards it. And I think a huge component is just resources and services available to victims. On a criminal justice side of it, successful prosecution is always a main component for us as far as a form of success. However, if you were to ask victim advocates and the purposes of advocacy in general, it's to avoid re-victimization or to have poly-victims. So victims who are either repeatedly victimized by the same offender or by a different offender down the road with different offenses, be it domestic violence or sexual assault. And the goal is always to try and stop that circle of violence and to progress their lives and to have them have a sense of completion and fulfillment and to live on.
Well, thank you for the work you do, and please thank your victim advocates, because I think they are doing an amazing job. Thank you.
And if I may, just so the council understands, our two advocates help roughly 75 to 100 people every single month. Some of those folks need help on a continual basis to where they stretch out literally months or potentially even years. So to have people that they are familiar with who help them navigate the system and who they can turn to at a moment's notice is an absolutely invaluable asset.
Mr. Abbott, did you want to make a motion or a comment?
That's what I was after, yeah.
Okay, would you yield to Mr. Adams for make a comment first, please?
Of course.
I
Go
just
ahead,
want to
Jack.
follow up on Councilwoman Bybee's question from a prosecution standpoint. We found that victims need that continuity from the crime all the way to the courtroom. And had it not been for our police department and their forward thinking and dedicated victim advocates there, our job would be so much harder. We've noticed a nice rise, a nice bump in convictions. We still maintain a conviction rate which is 3 times higher than that of the national average. It's a great team and a bunch of dedicated people over there at the police department.
Thanks, Jeff, for that. Appreciate it. Mr. Abbott, Mr. Abbott.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I move to approve and accept the State of Nevada Office of the Attorney General's STOP Grant Award in the amount of $75,471 to fund the second victim advocate position.
Bybee.
I'll second that.
Motion for Mr. Abbott, second by Ms. Bybee. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote or say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. You knew we'd do this, didn't you? I was hoping you did, Sergeant.
Our fingers were crossed.
I want to say too, you guys,
Thank
on
you.
the lemonade stand, the officers that showed up for that support, what a great story. What made me feel very good about our people out there. So tell everybody, thank you.
Fantastic, thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Thanks, Sergeant. Appreciate it. Let's move on to 9.8, consideration and possible acceptance of a National Endowment for the Arts, Our Town Placemaking Grant, AC 5486 for $50,000 to assist with development of an arts overlay plan for the downtown district. Ms. Burge, hit it.
Thank you. For the record, Francine Burge, Special Events Supervisor for the City of Sparks. I'm here to present the consideration and possible acceptance of a $50,000 grant from the National Endowment for the Arts for a placemaking master plan for our downtown area.
So that means we're looking for places to put these art things, right?
Yes,
Stuff, whatever.
yes. So the placemaking project will also help, we'll have consultants come in and help us navigate how to do a great community engagement process, help us write policy, give us really great framework for future public art projects.
Well, thanks to J. Carter, Witt, and Silverman, we've drastically reduced the number of places you can put the art now because we got things that pay property taxes, which is a good thing. But we need art down there. We'll find good places for everything. We found a good place for Last Chance Joe, didn't we?
We did.
And he looks good up there. Thank you, Mr. Abbott. Questions for Ms. Burge? Okay, seeing none, looking for a motion. Mr. Abbott?
I move to accept this grant from National Endowment for the Arts in the amount of $50,000 to assist with development of arts overlay master plan for the downtown district.
Ms. Bybee?
I have a second, and I do have a question.
Go ahead.
Francine, what is the time frame on this?
We are signing contracts. We're not allowed to start until August per the NEA. So we're signing contracts right now with our two consultants that we're working on to begin in August, start training not only staff, but our steering committee, which we're also developing. So that'll be during the winter months, and community engagement will start next summer. So we'll be out there during events, kind of what I was doing at Honey and Lavender Festival to talk about art.
Okay, so, but to actually see art, where are you
Actually
projecting
see
the
art,
timeline?
well, we'll be using art in our community engagement process, but to have like commissioned pieces, that process will start in 2020.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, please vote or say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Passes unanimously, thank you. Are you done?
Nope.
Oh, geez. You got the next one too?
Yes, I do.
Okay, hold on, I'm gonna tell everybody about it. Consideration of possible direction to the city manager to apply for up to $150,000 matching funds to assist with development of commissioned artwork from the National Endowment of Arts Artworks Grant Program. Go ahead.
So, starting in 2020.
Pressure's on, 150
So
grand.
this is to match the 150,000 that it has been earmarked by the Facilitation and Tourism Committee for the public art as our phase 2 of our master plan. So we can use that as leverage to apply for 150,000. It's a different NEA grant than the one we just received that's actually dedicated to public art. So it's much more of a match. I'm navigating as I'm going along with these grants. So this one is specifically for commissioned public art, site-specific public art for our downtown area.
Questions for Ms. Burge? Motions, anybody want to make a motion? Ms. Bybee?
I move to direct the city manager to apply for a matching funds grant up to $150,000 to assist with development of commissioned artwork from the National Endowment for the Arts Artworks Grant Program.
Mr. Lawson?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Bybee, seconded by Mr. Lawson to approve 9.9 as outlined by staff, which would be $150,000 matching funds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please say aye or vote.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Passes unanimously.
Thank you. Just one last word. I did bring some of the pieces that we did at Lavender and Honey Festival for you guys to enjoy. Kids came out and they gave us some ideas on what they'd like to see in downtown. And I think my favorite part was somebody put a water park in one of the Nuggets parking lots.
Awesome.
Enjoy.
Thank you. Okay, let's move to 9.10, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of the 2019 Street Rehabilitation Unit 1 bid number 1819-001, PWPWA 2018-188, contract AC 5487 to Sierra Nevada Construction, the amount of $1,854,007. This looks like a lot more than usual, John, how come?
No, typically it's not. We estimated this project at about 2.2 million.
Sometimes it's like 700, we do two
little
different
smaller.
projects? Okay, all right.
But,
Just looked like more than we usually do.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council members. Just to clarify, I'm not Amber Spencer. I'm John Erickson, the city engineer.
Could have fooled me, John.
Yeah.
But I need glasses
bring
too,
that.
so.
Where this project is located is up just east of Pyramid Way, and down below, or the lower portion of the map, is McCarran Boulevard, and this is Lena Juniper Elementary School. This is typical of our reconstruction type projects. We will be doing curb gutter, sidewalk, driveways, and installing new handicap ramps, as well as rehabilitating the pavements. We received 4 qualified bids on the project on May 25th. SNC is the apparent low bidder. Staff is recommending approval of the contract with SNC. It's important to note that we will be getting the work done on Penny Way that's just adjacent to Lena Juniper, just because of the fact that that's a drop-off area, and that will be done before school starts on August 6th. So that concludes my presentation.
Good on you, John, thank you. Questions for Mr. Erickson? Okay, seeing none, looking for a motion.
I got motion.
Mr. Lawson,
I'm gonna move to approve the, here it is. I move to approve the 2019 Street Rehabilitation Project, Unit 1, Project 2, Sierra Nevada Construction, the amount of $1,854,007.
Mr. Abbott.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lawson, seconded by Mr. Abbott to approve 9.10 as outlined by staff. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote or say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Passes unanimously. Good job. 9.11, consideration, discussion, and possible approval on an agreement, AC 5488, for return flow management between Truckee Meadows Water Authority, City of Reno, City of Sparks, and the Tahoe Reno Industrial General Improvement District for the management of various water rights. Mr. Hummel. We got backup over here? What's the deal?
Just in case.
Okay, just checking. I see a guy with a suit.
Nice,
and
I guess.
Paperwork, that's your backup, so good luck to you.
Yeah. Yes, thank you, Mayor Martini, members of council. For the record, Andy Hummel, Utility Manager for the City of Sparks. A little history at the September 11, 2017 regular City Council meeting. City Council approved an agreement for treated effluent between Sparks Reno and Tahoe Reno Industrial General Improvement District, or TRIGID, so I don't have to continue that. That agreement provided essentially the what we wanted to do, which namely is TRIGID would love to acquire 4,000 acre feet of effluent annually from Tumwharf, and we would love to send that down to them. Provides a lot of environmental benefits to the river as well as our operations of Tumwharf. Within that agreement, there was a section, Section 7, that established return flow must be maintained to the Truckee River to essentially keep the river whole, make sure that not only on paper, but physically there's enough water there to maintain flow in the river, satisfy downstream rights, things like that. It was anticipated that TRI GID would permit 1,500 acre feet of surface water rights for in-stream flow. The state of Nevada through NDOT were putting forth 1,500 to 2,200 acre feet of water rights, and Tumwa was willing to contribute 300 to 1,000 acre feet of community resources to make up that 4,000 acre feet. We also, within Section 7, established that Tumwa would manage the return flow to satisfy the federal water master's requirements in meeting the Truckee River Operating Agreement. So to satisfy these requirements and essentially provide the how we would do that, a return flow management agreement was required by the language in that agreement to be prepared and executed within 24 months. Over the past 9 months, Reno, Sparks, Tumwa, and TRI GID have met numerous times in negotiating and developing the return flow management agreement, which is presented today for your consideration. Within the return flow management agreement, the water rights requirements originally anticipated are being met. TRI GID is still required to permit 1,500 acre feet for in-stream flow. TRI GID, NDOT, and Tumwa have recently entered into a separate agreement for the water rights held by NDOT, which will require research and permitting by TRI GID and management by Tumwa. That research and permitting requirement is why that 1,500 to 2,200 number, there's a range there, because some of those rights could be shown to not exist during that process. And then thirdly, Tumwa will still bring 300 to 1,000 acre foot of community resources, which have been identified as excess groundwater. Anytime that groundwater is pumped by Tumwa and then delivered to the customers and ultimately through our pipes to Tumwharf, that water does not have to go back to the Truckee River. Other sources would be privately owned stored water that Tumwa owns, and then various unused surface rights that Tumwa owns and currently does not use. To protect Tumwa's resources within the Return Flow Management Agreement, Section 4.4 states these will only come into play once TRI GID, put him to sleep, has permitted their 1,500 acre feet, and then will come in at a 2 for 3 basis. So every 3 acre feet that NDOT is able to prove up through their process, Tumwa will put forward 2. During this time, we've also worked diligently with Tumwa and the Federal Water Master to model numerous years and scenarios from 2009 to 2017 in the Federal Water Master's Riverware model to show a wide range. We essentially caught the wettest year on record, several of the driest years on records, and numerous normal water years. And in that time frame, for Reno and Sparks, our demands for the effluent system have remained largely the same. So provided a good background to be able to model and show how this will work with the additional demand.
Is now in the conference.
The results from that modeling are favorable, that this can work with minor operational changes by Tumwa. We have also met with the Pyramid Lake Paiute tribe on several occasions to review the progress and the modeling. Tumwa approved the Return Flow Management Agreement as presented at their meeting on June 20th last week. Reno will be hearing on July 18th after their summer recess. And as I understand it, TRI GID will be holding a special meeting sometime this week as well to hear it. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Questions for Mr. Hummel, Mr. Abbott?
Yeah, what's the next step after this?
The next step, there's several. TRI GID will work on the permitting for the NDOT water rights. We'll continue permitting cleanup on all of our effluent water rights, make sure that the various permits are in place so that Tumwa can manage those rights. Tumwa has already started some of their permitting for, I mentioned, the privately owned stored water. And the biggest one is TRI GID will continue to acquire the right-of-way and ultimately build the pipeline to connect Tumwharf to their system.
Thank you.
Bobby?
Just a comment, this is a very complex, the whole operating agreement, the return flow, and I just appreciate all the work you have done and the many partners that have put together a very, it's not something that is easy. It's not easy, and a lot of work and a lot of careful consideration to all the players, to TROA, to our water, the effluent that, the nitrate in the river. I mean, there's so many factors involved in what we do with our effluent and TR, and the TRI, wanting and being able to use it. So I think the use of effluent water for, not just us treating it, but the fact that we can actually use it for something that is positive and not using, our other water sources for, the customers that are out there is important too. But I appreciate the work that's been done and working with the Federal Water Master, and I understand that numbers and everything that you all have modeled turned out even better than, more positive than you had anticipated in the beginning. So I just want to thank all the players together. I think this ultimately, when it does go downstream and it's used for that purpose, and we're managing and protecting the water from the, from Tahoe all the way out to the tribe and everything in between, I think it's important, and you've done good work to make sure that we protect everyone involved, and I think it's a positive end result for everyone. Thank you.
It was easy for Mr. Hummel because he's a pretty smart guy. He really knows this stuff backwards and forwards, and that's why they put him in charge of this deal for the city of Sparks. Is that not correct, Mr. Mickelson? I know this stuff. He's a smart guy. So
I'll second that.
don't underestimate him.
No, never.
Any other comments or looking for a motion? Mr. Abbott?
I move to approve the return flow management agreement as proposed by the city manager between Truckee Meadows Water Authority, City of Reno, City of Sparks, the Tahoe Reno Industrial General Improvement District for the management of various water rights.
Ms. Bybee?
Second?
Motion by Mr. Abbott, seconded by Ms. Bybee. Any questions? Not looking for a oh, yeah, right. Looking for an aye vote or please vote.
Aye.
Passed unanimously. Thanks, Mr. Trumbull.
Thank you.
Told you he was smart, didn't I?
Mr. Mayor, if I might.
Yes, go ahead.
I just wanted, on top of the comments that have already been made, the team that you asked me to put together to work on this agreement over 2 years ago has spent a lot of time and effort, not only getting up to speed on the particular issues and the details that are involved, but they were clearly a leader in these conversations on behalf of the region, looking to protect the interests of the sewer treatment plant and making sure that we were able to be within compliance of all of our operating permits, both federally and through the state. We were a leader in those conversations. There were many times that there was a wanting to move quickly and just worry about the detail later. Your staff was very persistent in making sure that we answered questions first, and then we took action second. And that conservative approach, while it was not intended in any way to slow it down, because your direction was to get it done quickly, it was confirmed by outside consultants and experts in water from all over the West Coast that what we did satisfied all the things that you asked us to do, to protect the river, to protect the interest of the tribe, and to have our permits not be in question, and to make sure that we're able to meet all those tightly regulated control mechanisms that are put in by state and federal. So the team, which consisted of Mr. Kreutz, Mr. Martini, and Mr. Hummel, they're to be commended for this because, yeah, the other one. I think it's important to know that the dedication and time that they spent on this is borne out, and I think at the end of the day, this region is better off for the work that they just completed. Thank you for your vote.
But these are all smart people. And again, not this Mr. Martini didn't work on it. It's my cousin over here that did. He's the smart one in the family. Thank God we got one at least. Okay, let's move on to 912, first reading. This is the first reading of bill number 2741. Go ahead, Ms. Clerk.
This is the first reading of an ordinance by the City of Sparks amending Title 20 of the Sparks Municipal Code to permit urban wineries in the MUD-DT/VS, MUD/MUC, MUD/MR mixed-use district, C2 general commercial, TC tourist commercial, and IL industrial locationality restricted, zoning districts, and other matters properly related thereto.
Wow, that's a good one. This is the first reading of Bill number 2741. The public hearing and second reading of this bill will be conducted at the regular city council meeting on Monday, July 9th, 2018. Okay, let's move on to public hearing items. 10.1, second reading, public hearing discussion, possible adoption of bill number 2737, and ordinance amending chapter 112.24 of the Sparks Municipal Code to prohibit smoking and vaping in city parks and providing other matters properly related thereto. Mr. Cobb, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Martini, members of the council. I'm here before you this evening to present Bill 2737, an ordinance amending Chapter 12.24 of the Sparks Municipal Code to prohibit smoking and vaping.
Mr. Cobb, one second. I'm going to turn the meeting over real quick to Mr. Lawson. I'll be back shortly, I hope.
Yes, sir. And for the record, Chris Cobb, your Parks Development Coordinator. So with that said, it's ordinance amending Chapter 1224 to prohibit smoking and vaping in our City of Sparks parks. In January 2017, our Sparks and Recreation Commission meeting attended a concurrent meeting with our neighboring communities of Washoe County and City of Reno, where the Washoe County Health Department did a presentation on the idea of creating smoke-free parks without our entire Truckee Meadows region. With that said, each commission decided after that to give direction for each of theirs to look and create a working group to entertain this in our Truckee Meadows area. Based on the working group's recommendations, the Parks and Rec Commission discussed this item in their January 24th, 28 meeting and voted to recommend to take the council and request an ordinance that would prohibit smoking and vaping with all our City of Sparks parks with the following basis: that Sparks parks to be smoke and vape free to be enforced in the entire park, including the parking lots, and smoke and vape free to be enforced by ordinance. With that said, on April 9th, 2018, City Council did give direction to the city manager to initiate the Title 12 of the Sparks Municipal Code regarding park rules and these changes requested. The first reading of this bill was on June 11th, 2018. And just to note, our sister agencies are following through with the same progress and working towards an ordinance change. With that, that's the end of my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Charlene, you have public comment? We'll get to that in a second.
Oh. Do you want to do public comment first, or?
I'm okay if you want to do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll ask a question after.
So this is a public hearing. See, I do have one comment card from the public. We're going to open it up to public discussion. Kelly, is it Goatley? Come on down.
Members of the council, my name is Kelly Goatley Seals. For the record, I'm from the Washoe County Health District. I'm joined today by Christine Thompson from the Nevada Cancer Coalition, and we have been before you in the past, and I am here again today just to reiterate the support that this has from the public health community, as well as a variety of other agencies and organizations in our community. Related to public health, we know that smoking, smoke-free locations eliminate exposure to secondhand smoke, which has positive health benefits. It creates non-smoke and vape-free norms, which positively impact youth and encourage them not to begin smoking and vaping. And smoke-free locations encourage quitting among people that currently use tobacco products. Other benefits include reducing fire risk and environmental benefits from the tobacco waste that ends up in the environment when people dispose of these products inappropriately. So again, don't want to take a lot of time, just want to reiterate the support that's in the community for this effort.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have any other public comment on this item? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the dais. Comments from the council. Charlene?
Yeah, Chris, I did have a question. The signage is what will go in the parks. As far as, and you mentioned enforcement, is it on a complaint based, and what kind of are there fines? What are the results if somebody is smoking in the park and they're violating the ordinance? What happens then?
So here, I'll take them a little bit one at a time.
Okay.
With the signage, this is one of the last things happening with council if adopted, where we'll have all the rules in place that we can begin a signage program at all our Sparks parks. We're required, or we're supposed to have a sign stating the rules at each park. We would identify initially going after our larger areas like Golden Eagle, going after the Sparks Marina, areas along the river, our high priority parks, and work in a budget program to get those rule signs rolled out, stating all the rules that we're looking at by ordinance. With the enforcement, you're not going to have police sitting in the park being able to enforce this. You're really looking for more of a social enforcement of people identifying and bringing it to people's attention. It is identified as a misdemeanor. So it would follow those laws and fines, and or is there jail time involved as it being a misdemeanor that's already identified within our municipal code.
Okay, so you said it is, so penalties would be fines. You're not looking at jail time.
Those are, and I believe council could answer
Mr. Mayor
that
Pro
better.
Tem, if I might.
Yes.
Steve Driscoll, City Manager, for the record. In your municipal code, a misdemeanor is its own class. It has defined fees that can be charged by the judges from $0 to $1,000 and from 0 to 6 months in jail. There can be diversion programs and other things that are there. It is up to the judge to determine, based on the case, what they decide is the proper adjudication, if you will, to try to change the behavior. Are we looking to put people in jail for smoking in the parks? No, that's not our intent. But the judge is the only one that will have all of the facts and will determine what is the corrective action that they think is necessary to protect the city for the future.
And I guess, Allison, since you're sitting there, so if we're looking at repeat offenders, again, is it up to the judge, or do we have any steps that people, if they were prosecuted a second or third time for the same offense, if we considered that?
Assistant City Attorney Allison McCormick, for the record. Councilwoman Bybee, there are not designated sentences in the ordinance or elsewhere in our code for a first, second, third, and so on offense of this proposed language. However, the prosecutors in the city attorney's office would certainly take prior offenses into account, and I would expect that our municipal court judges would take that into account as well when crafting an appropriate sentence for subsequent violations.
Okay, because really, I think I support the concept, and I support because I understand the impacts of secondhand smoke. Personally, I worked in airplanes that had smoking when I first started. So family members that grew up in smoking households. So I understand and the intent of this, and I agree with that entirely. I just want to make sure that for me, the intent is like you said, not putting people in jail because they were smoking in a park. I mean, it's trying to change behavior. It's modeling for our youth. It's, cleaning up the parks because we don't have cigarette butts that are in the parks. So really, that is the positive side of it, but I don't want it to be strong-handed, that is a threatening type thing, that, it's once people realize that they can't and the signage is there, and, hopefully it will become the new norm, but I just don't want to see the prosecution side of it, heavy-handed is all my thoughts are on that, so thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you. There is also language in the ordinance that prohibits charging a person with a violation of this section unless they've been told by a city employee or any law enforcement officer that smoking is prohibited in the park. So they would have to be warned and then continue smoking despite that warning to be charged under this section.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Any further comments from the dais? Okay, I'm looking for a motion. Mr. Abbott?
I move to adopt bill number 2737, an ordinance amending chapter 12.24 of the Sparks Municipal Code.
I have a second, Ms. Bybee?
Second?
Okay, that being said, I need a vote and an aye on the phone.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Good
Num-
stuff.
Thanks,
you.
guys. Number 11, planning and zoning public hearings and action items. This is a second reading public hearing discussing and possible adoption of Bill number 2738, an ordinance for approval of a development agreement by and between the City of Sparks, Jacqueline Aggregates LLC, and QC LLC concerning the development of a parcel 386.87 acres in size located at 555 Highlands Ranch, Washoe County, Nevada. Armando.
Lawson, our members of the City Council, I'm Armando Ornelas, the Assistant Community Services Director. This agenda item, the development agreement for the quarry property, is being brought forward for City Council consideration in conjunction with the next three items. On the agenda, which are for annexation, the comprehensive plan amendment, and rezoning of the quarry property. I am going to provide you an overview of these requests and present the development agreement, and then Development Services Manager Karen Melby will present the annexation, comprehensive plan, and rezoning requests. Other staff who've had a lot of input into this agreement are Chief Maples and City Engineer John Erickson, and they'll both be available for questions, as is the applicant, Scott Christie, and then he has a couple of his consultants, including Paul Salegi, the traffic engineer here. In terms of how we wanted to proceed with this, as I said, I will present the development agreement and provide an overview of this. Having spoken to the city attorney's office earlier, they have advised that we should present each item. We should conduct a public hearing after the presentation of each item and take a vote in that manner. But the reason for bundling the development agreement with the annexation, comprehensive plan amendment, and rezoning requests is to provide the public, third-party reviewing agencies, the Planning Commission, and you, the City Council, with an understanding of the development proposed for the site at the time these requests are considered. A development agreement also allows for conditions to be attached to the approvals, as is done, for example, with the planned development. A development agreement doesn't necessarily have all of the detail, for example, architectural design standards that would be in a development agreement, but critically, it does allow, with the attachment of these conditions to the approvals, for the development agreement to serve as the basis for satisfying the so-called concurrency requirement of the 2012 Turkey Meadows Regional Plan for Infrastructure and Public Services. So if I may have the overhead, please. The property that is the subject of all of these requests, as Councilman Lawson said, is 386.87 acres in size and is located just northwest of the intersection of Sparks Boulevard and Pyramid Highway off Highland Ranch Parkway. And if you can follow my cursor, if I can, the entrance, there's an existing entrance here, and this road moves into the area that you can see was clearly the area that was mined for aggregate previously. It's not really visible for the most part, some small exceptions from either the Pyramid Highway or Highland Ridge Parkway. And so the previous uses that Ms. Melby will address in terms of commercial development in that bowl really didn't make any sense from a market perspective. In terms of what's in the agreement, there's a number of sections that I'm going to call out for you. Section 2 is intended to provide the developer a degree of regulatory predictability for the duration of the build-out of the project. It defines the rules and the fees that apply to development of the project. Permitted uses and density are addressed in Section 3.1. So Section 3.1 really works hand in hand with one of the exhibits to the development agreement, which is the preliminary land plan. And as you can see, the bulk of the development is in the area, for the most part, that was the former aggregate pit. Here's that access road that I showed you on the vicinity map. There's a little bit of commercial here right along Highland Ridge Parkway, and then the rest of this is designated for uses that would comply with SF6 zoning. So that would be single-family homes at a gross density of between 3.1 and 4.6 dwelling units per acre. So this plan is really, the basis for doing the infrastructure planning and for being able to address through this agreement the infrastructure improvements that are necessary to mitigate the impacts of the project. In terms of those infrastructure improvements, they are addressed in section 3.2 of the agreement. This includes the offsite infrastructure, which would be at the developer's expense. That includes the sanitary sewer upgrades, flood control, and drainage improvements. Also required are the widening of Highland Ranch Parkway. So I'll go back to the previous exhibit. From here, the entrance to the site to Sparks, that has to be widened to 4 lanes prior to the issuance of any building permits. And then Mr. Salegi, in the traffic analysis that was submitted to the city and reviewed as well by RTC and NDOT, identified a number of improvements to this intersection that would be necessary to maintain that intersection functioning at a level of service E. Those improvements the planning for them must start prior to it, but they have to be constructed prior to the issuance of any certificate of occupancy for or final inspection of the 650th dwelling units. So stated otherwise, by the time we get to 650 units in this project, these improvements have to be constructed as well. The section 3.2D that also addresses infrastructure, or that is the infrastructure section, requires that this segment of the entry into the project from its entrance up, if you can follow my cursor, up to here, which is the entrance to villages 3 and 4, that road has to be 4 lanes. And the purpose of that is to make sure that there's sufficient capacity in the event that there needed to be an evacuation of the site, for example, if there were a wildfire, for that traffic to be able to move out of there. That was a condition that was negotiated between the developer and Fire Chief Maples. And so that's something that we wanted to call out to your attention. In addition, there needs to be a secondary fire apparatus access road constructed prior to the 200th unit. That one can be private and gated, but that would add additional emergency access to the site. All of the dwelling units and commercial structures for human occupancy have to be equipped with fire suppression systems. In other words, they have to be sprinklered. Very critical in terms of this agreement is section 3.11, which constitutes the developer's petition to be included, for this property to be included in impact fee service area number 1, and also by virtue of signing this agreement, if approved by the City Council, they can now withdraw the petition except as permitted in the agreement. The area that can be cleared, graded, or disturbed is addressed in section 3.4 of the agreement. That is limited to 225 of the 387 acres. That's equal to 58.2% of the site. If this was a planned development, the minimum open space requirement would be 20%. This is obviously well in excess of that. And the developer is required to convey with each final subdivision map the lands designated as open space to the entity responsible for maintenance of those lands. So we would imagine that would be the homeowners association. Section 4 permits the City Council to review the developer's compliance with the terms of the development agreement within 12 months of its effective date. It also requires the developer to report every 24 months after that on the number of units approved and built, the density that the project is being constructed at, and the general status of the project. And then the last section I will call to your attention is section 6.1, which specifies that the duration of the agreement is 15 years, and it grants the developer the right to request 1 5-year extension subject to certain conditions. So the Planning Commission reviewed the development agreement and determined that it is consistent with the comprehensive plan because it supports policies MG5 and CF1 of the plan. The Planning Commission therefore determined that the development agreement supports a finding that the city can provide municipal services to the subject property concurrent with its development. And this enables the City Council to make certain findings, including those regarding concurrency and fiscal impact, in support of the applicant's annexation, comprehensive plan amendment, and rezoning request. Again, the purpose of this was to bundle those applications with this agreement so that there was a basis for making those critical findings in terms of those entitlements. The Planning Commission therefore recommended that the City Council find the proposed development agreement consistent with the Sparks Comprehensive Plan and approve it by ordinance. That concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions, as are the others that I mentioned.
All right, this is a public hearing. I'm gonna now open it up to the public. I don't have any comment cards. All right, seeing none, we'll bring it back to the dais. Questions from the dais? Seeing no questions? Christopher?
Yes, sir.
I can't see that.
I'd like to
far.
make a motion. I'd like to make a motion.
Hold on, Chris, we have one question first.
Okay.
Mr. Abbott.
Can you go back to that,
The land
last
plan?
map you were just at? Yeah.
Sure.
I might have missed this when I was writing notes, but where's the fire access road?
The secondary fire access road has not yet been determined in terms of its location. I think, you know, it's something that is required a little further down the line. I mean, prior to the 200th unit. I think as the developer, you know, of the site ultimately refines this plan and frankly looks at look at their options for that road. You know, it would make sense that it would either exit up towards the north or potentially towards to Highland Ridge Parkway, towards Pyramid Highway. There's any number of options.
Yeah.
They'll have to determine what the best route for that is. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, Charlene, questions?
So were we looking at, I see that the agreement is for 15 years with a possible 5-year extension. Are we looking at build-out is 15 years? Or build-out for the project, for all phases?
That's a question that I would refer to the applicant, Mr. Christie. I think that's really market dependent. But again, that's one I would refer to Mr. Christie.
Am I too close?
No, you're good.
Good afternoon. For the record, Scott Christie with QK LLC. As Armando said, it is going to be market dependent. Our schedules show about a 10-year build out, but again, it's market dependent.
Okay, any other questions? All right, Mr. Dare, I think you wanted to make a motion on this item?
Yes, sir. I move to adopt Bill number 2738, an ordinance for approval of a development agreement by and between the City of Sparks, Jacqueline Aggregates LLC, and QK LLC concerning the development of a parcel 386.87 acre in size located at 555 Highland Ranch Parkway, Washoe County, Nevada.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Yes.
All right, all those in favor, please vote.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. Mr. Mayor, you're back on time for item 11.2.
Thank you, Mr. Lawson, good job. You should have moved ahead 3 or 4 more, though, I think. Yeah, I'm kidding. These are public hearing items, I get that. Okay, 11.2, second reading, public hearing, discussion, and possible adoption of bill number 2739, an ordinance to annex real property approximately 386.87 acres. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mayor Martini and Council. I'm Karen Melby, Development Service Manager. The item before you today is a petition for annexation. As you can, could I have the, thank you. As Armando, I won't give you the orientation again, but it is the entire approximately 387 acres. As you can see outlined here in cyan, it's this property here. What I'm going to spend the time is reviewing the annexation findings. There are 4 findings. The first finding is A1, which is conformance to the requirements of NRS. The property is contiguous to the city limits and being requested by the one single property owner, making it in conformance with NRS 268. Finding A2 actually consists of 10 sub-findings. I need to review all of those, and that's a conformance with the annexations found in our Sparks Municipal Code. First one, A, is regarding location of the property. The property is located on the north side of Highland, and here's Highland Ranch Parkway. It is on the north side of the parkway and is contiguous to the city on two sides, which would be to the south here and on the east. B is this a logical extension of the city limits? It is again contiguous to the city limits on two sides. It is in our city's sphere of influence, and the existing utilities are in proximity to the property, which fits for a logical extension of the city limits. Item C is the need for expansion. There is a housing shortage within our region, so the property will increase single-family housing supply in the region. Item D is the location of existing and planned water and sewer service. The water service will be provided by the Truckee Meadows Water Authority, and sanitation sewer will be provided by the city of Sparks. Sanitary sewer service will be provided to the project via the Northwest Sanitary Sewer Interceptor located to the east of the project. The developer will be responsible for the construction of all new sanitary sewer lines, as well as upgrades to the existing sanitary lines that will connect the project to the Northwest Interceptor. The city's sanitary sewer model, based on the maximum number of count of 1,800 residential units and 13.4 acres of commercial, the results of that sewer modeling indicate that the developer will be required to construct capacity improvements to the existing sanitary sewer system located between the project and the Northwest Interceptor to maintain it at an acceptable service level.
I'm not bothering you, am I, Karen?
Huh?
I'm not bothering you by running around with my little card on it.
No, that's okay. Item E is the community goals that must be met. This annexation request complies with policy MG7, Goal H, and policy CF1 because the annexation would provide additional lands for housing development, has been in the city's sphere of influence since 2002, promotes Sparks housing market, and with a provision in the development agreement, the applicant is petitioning to be included in ISFA number 1, which with this development of the site, they will have to contribute to the construction of a fire station, storm drainage, sewer, and park improvements. Item F, the efficient and cost-effective provisions of service. The property served by the sanitary sewer, which needs to be extended from the east side of Pyramid Highway. The capacity will need to be added to these facilities pertaining to the fire service. It was brought to my attention this morning by the fire chief that we had a misstatement in our staff report, that the fire response will be provided. It stated it will be through an automatic aid agreement with Truckee Meadows Fire Prevention District. However, that's incorrect. Upon annexation, the quarry site will be the City of Sparks Fire Department's responsibility and not through that agreement. Fire service would be from Fire Station number 4, or the fire chief can also request a mutual aid from the Truckee Meadows Fire Prevention District or any other agency that the city has a mutual aid agreement with. At this time, there is no automatic aid agreement with the Truckee Meadows Fire Prevention District. Item G, which is fiscal analysis. There was a fiscal impact analysis submitted with this annexation petition. It estimated that the annexation of single-family and development of single-family 1,223 single-family homes and 13 acres of commercial will generate approximately $47.3 million in revenue to our general fund and $33 million in the general fund expenditures, resulting in an anticipated cumulative positive impact of $14.3 million over a 20-year period. As for the road fund, the fiscal impact estimates a 20-year revenue of $3.3 million to the road fund and expenditures of $14.9 million. This estimate results in a deficit of $11.5 million over 20 years due to the disconnect between the limited sources of revenue available for the road fund and the high costs of street maintenance and repair. This is not a unique situation for new development within the city of Sparks. Combining the net positive general fund of $14.3 million and the negative road fund of $11.5 million produces a projected positive fiscal impact of approximately $2.8 million over the 20-year analysis period. Item H, which is Washoe County, we have not received any comments or issues from Washoe County. I is the creation of islands. This annexation, as I stated, is contiguous on two sides, so the annexation would not create any islands. J, other factors. Before any tentative map can be reviewed by the city, the applicant must prepare and submit a slope analysis per the Sparks Municipal Code 20.04.011, governing slopes, hilltops, and ridges, delineating the developable portion of this property. Finding A3. We're finally done with A2. A3 is it conforms to the comprehensive plan as it is within the sphere of influence in the 7-year annexation program. The city of Sparks initially exerted planning jurisdiction by including this area in its sphere of influence in the year 2002. The city's annexation program, however, expired in 2015. NRS 268.267 allows the City of Sparks Council to consider annexation of properties without an annexation program if it is contiguous to the city limits and the annexation request is 100% by the property owners. In this case, we have one property owner, so that is 100% by one, and we are contiguous. So both items are satisfied in this case. The last finding is public notice. For the Planning Commission, this was noticed in the Reno Gazette-Journal on May 22nd, 2018, and we've noticed property owners within 750 feet of this, and there was a total of 50 property owners. Planning Commission.
Armando, you need to say something?
The Planning Commission did recommend approval that the City Council approve this annexation. That concludes this portion of my presentation.
Karen, for your information, we're going to pass an ordinance that says there's no finding that has to have 10 addendums to it. What do you think, John? Is that okay? It's a little onerous, I think. Go ahead, Armando. I'm kidding, of course.
Mayor Martini, Assistant Community Services Director Armando Ornelas. Just one clarification or update on the fiscal impact analysis. As a result of that, those discussions between Fire Chief Maples and the developer, and the change in terms of that entry road from the entrance to the project to the project site, or to villages 3 and 4, going from 2 to 4 lanes, that increased the cost to the city for maintenance of that segment of road, and it reduced the overall net positive fiscal impact to just under $1.4 million. So I just wanted to clarify that for the record, and the applicant did provide an update to the fiscal analysis, and that was provided that was concluded between the first and second reading, so hence
Positive 1.4 now.
It's less, but I wanted it to be on the record. Okay.
The way that reads sounds like a magic show, and we're hiding something over here and putting something over there and something behind your back that you can't see. Just sounds kind of strange the way it's worded. I mean, I understand the dynamics and the math, but just sounds kind of weird. I don't know.
2 different funds, one's positive.
Yeah, exactly. We lose it so much over here, but we make it over here, and then we got this much positive. And I see Mike Rainey smiling over there, so he likes that positive. So is that it for you two? Okay, questions for staff, Ms. Bybee?
The fiscal analysis, a lot of the numbers you were just giving us are different than what's in the staff report that we have. So were there updates to some of them? The one you just gave us here, but even like the road fund, 11.4 million, but in here it says 12.76 million. So were there just changes in the fiscal analysis compared to what I'm looking at, reading in my packet?
I think the numbers that Ms. Melby initially presented, I think are the ones that I'm updating. And again, that happened between the first and second readings. So what you have in the staff report is correct. And that's what I was addressing verbally just now.
Okay, so what?
Attempting to, hopefully.
So hers was from the first reading and you've done the update.
that's
So the
correct.
bottom line is not 2.8 million positive impact, it's 1.4?
Yes, 1.38 specifically.
Okay, just wanted a clarification because I'm looking at numbers here, listening to them and it wasn't matching up.
Apologize for the confusion.
Okay, no problem, thank you.
Anyone else? So does the applicant want to speak? Take a chance of saying something that won't make any sense and blow us out of the water? Mike Rainey? Welcome, Mike, how are you?
Good. Good afternoon.
You got 20 seconds. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Mike Rayleigh with Rubicon Design Group representing QK LLC. Scott Christie with QK is also here, as well as our traffic engineer, Paul Salegi. We concur with all the information that was provided by Karen. She did a very thorough job, and we're happy to answer any questions you might have.
That was a good presentation. Mike. Thank you. Questions for Mike? Ms. Christie, thank you for being here. Any comments or anything? And it's always good to see Mr. Slaggy. Haven't seen you in a while, Paul. Good to see you.
Again,
State
for
your
the
name
record, Scott
yeah.
Christie with
Thank you.
QK. Really no comments other than we've worked very close with staff for a long time on this, and I think they've done a great job, and we're real happy to get to where we are today.
Thank you for those kind words. We have good staff. They mean well all the time. Whatever they do, they hold to the law and what we have to do. So we appreciate how they work. So thank you guys. Paul, you have anything to say or anything? Okay, anything else, Mike? Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other questions of staff or the applicants? Okay, this is a public hearing, so I'll open the public hearing. Any public want to say anything particular about this? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to council for action. Any questions of staff or any other questions? Okay, looking for a motion.
I'd like to make a motion, sir.
Go ahead.
I move, based on findings A1 through A4 as set forth in the staff report, to adopt Bill 2739 to annex into the city of Sparks real property approximately 386.87 acres in size, located at 555 Highland Ranch Parkway, Washoe County, Nevada.
Have a second, Mr. Abbott.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Dare, second by Mr. Abbott to approve 11.2, the annexation. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please say aye or please vote.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Okay, 11.3, public hearing discussion and possible certification of a comprehensive plan amendment to change the land use from open space OS commercial C and employment center EC to intermediate density residential IDR and commercial C on a site approximately 86.87 acres located at the 555 Highland Ranch Parkway, Sparks. PCN 160050, Miss. Go ahead.
Again, for the record, Karen Melby, Development Service Manager. This is part 3 of your review today on this project, the quarry. This is the comprehensive plan and map. You will see on the exhibit here, the top map is the existing land uses. There is 4.3 acres commercial, which is that little half moon of orange. 85 acres of employment center, which is the blue, and the open space is 298 acres. They're requesting to change it to, on the bottom exhibit, which is 13.4 acres of commercial and 373.5 acres of IDR, which is intermediate density residential. The development agreement does limit the total area to be cleared, graded, or disturbed to be 225 acres or 58% of the property. Addressing the comprehensive plan findings. The first one is finding 1, which is the conformance with the regional plan. It complies with goals 1.1, 2.3, 3.5. Because within the Truckee Meadows service area, the Sparks Municipal Code and the development agreement restricts the area to be disturbed with a slope analysis, as previously discussed. It also includes an inclusion in the ISFA number 1 with the development of the site will contribute to the construction of the fire station, storm drainage, sewer, and parks improvements, along with the constructing capacity improvements to the Highland Ranch Parkway from Pyramid Highway to the entrance of the project, and to construct improvements to the intersection. The project does meet 3 of the criteria for the project of regional significance. There are more than 625 units. As in the development agreement, it's 1,200 to 1,800 units. The traffic trips exceed the 6,250 ADTs, which this project is estimated to have 11,000 of average daily trips. The sewer generation exceeds the standard of 17,500. It's estimated to be 378,000 gallons per day. This did go to regional planning, and regional planning did approve it. Finding 2, which is the implementation of goals, policies of the comprehensive plan. This complies with goals MG2, policy MG5, policy CF1, goal H2, policies RC22, and RC23, because it adds lands for a mix of residential and commercial uses. As discussed previously, the fiscal impact analysis has a net positive fiscal impact. It is going to be petitioned to be included into the ISFA number 1. Development will contribute to the improvements of the Spanish Springs area. Provision of additional lands for housing and a slope analysis will be required per the Sparks Municipal Code. Finding 3, compatible with the surrounding land uses. The subject property is located on the western side of Pyramid Highway, north of Highland Ranch Parkway. The Kylie Ranch planned development is on the east side of Pyramid, with 157 acres designated as commercial, including the site for a proposed hospital. None of the commercial uses are planned at this day, are planned on the Kylie Ranch North have actually been developed to date. The areas north of are large lot, single-family properties. To the east are vacant lands with steep slopes. To the west are vacant lands with steep slopes. The subject property
You
was.
moved some there, Karen.
Yeah, it's the Kylie Ranch is to the east. The subject property was formerly mined as an aggregate pit. The single-family homes and the commercial development along with the Highland Ranch Parkway will be more compatible with the surrounding land uses than the previously mining operation. Last finding is public notice. Again, this was published in the Reno Gazette Journal, March 22nd, 2018. And there was a neighborhood meeting held on February 20th, 2018 with the attendance of 13 people. Planning Commission did approve this comprehensive plan amendment and recommends that the council certify it. That concludes.
Probably conclude your staff report, right?
Yeah, it concludes this part of my presentation. Or part
Thanks.
2 of my presentation.
Thanks, Karen. I'm trying not to be a smart guy, but it just something that keeps making me talk. I don't understand. Any questions for Ms. Bybee? Applicant, anything to add? Okay. You guys are pretty smart, really. I can see why you're getting approved here. Okay, this is a public hearing. No more further questions? This is a public hearing. I'll open to the public. Anyone want to speak to this particular item? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, bring it back to council for action. Any questions of either applicant or staff? Okay, if not, looking for a motion.
I can make a
Mr.
motion,
Dare,
sir.
go ahead.
I move based on findings CP1 through CP4 as set forth in the staff report to certify a comprehensive plan amendment to change the land use designation from open space, commercial, and employment center to intermediate density residential and commercial on a site approximately 386.87 acres in size and located at 555 Highland Ranch Parkway, Sparks, Nevada.
Ms. Bybee.
Second?
Motion by Mr. Dare, seconded by Ms. Bybee to approve 11.3. That would be PCN 160050. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please say aye or please vote.
Aye.
Ron? Ron Smith? Sleeping or gone? Okay.
Did you hear? I said aye.
Okay, thank you. Just checking. Passes unanimously. Okay, let's move on to 11.4, second reading, public hearing, discussion and possible adoption of bill number 2740, an ordinance to rezone real property approximately 386.87 acres in size located at 555 Highland Ranch Parkway, Sparks, Nevada. Go ahead.
Karen Melby, Development Service Manager. This is part 4 of our presentation today. Upon annexation, this property will be A40 Agricultural District. The applicant is requesting to change the zoning to single-family, 6,000 square foot lots, and commercial. The single-family 6,000 will be 373.4 acres, and the commercial will be 13.9 acres. Commercial is that orange along Highland Ranch Parkway. Staff report includes a table which summarizes the permitted uses by zoning district. I will not cover that today. If the comprehensive plan was not approved, then you cannot certify or approve this rezoning, but you did certify the comprehensive plan amendment, so we can review the zoning. There are only 3 findings for zoning. The first one is consistent with the comprehensive plan. As I discussed under the finding CP2, staff and Planning Commission believe that this finding could be made only if the comprehensive plan was certified, which you did just do. Zoning finding 2 is consistent with their surrounding land uses. As discussed under the finding CP3, the rezoning request is consistent with the commercial and residential development designations that are in the Kylie Ranch North Plan development and the Washoe County to the north. This project would be residential, which is more compatible than a mining operation. Last finding, which is public notice, and again, it was published in the Reno Gazette Journal on March 22nd, 2018. 50 notices were mailed out to property owners within 750 of the property. The Planning Commission did recommend that the City Council approve this rezoning request. That concludes Armando's and my presentations on this project, and we're available for any questions.
Thanks, Karen. Questions for either Armando or, I see Mr. Martini coming in. Do you have a comment?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. John Martini, your Community Services Director. In the heart of the recession, Councilman Smith, Councilman Lawson, and Mayor Martini, you'll remember you challenged the newly formed Community Services Department to streamline our code, to find ways to make doing business and development in Sparks easier and more transparent and more predictable. We did redo Title 20. We did change our zoning codes and our comprehensive plan. You agreed to a comprehensive plan update. That has allowed us to land on where we are today. Not that far back when I started here in 1999, everything was done by plan unit development under NRS 278. It is a cumbersome but thorough method. In response to the request of this council, some of the members who are still here, in walks Mr. Christie and Mr. Smith with an idea for the quarry, and we asked them to try this new plan, this new way through a development agreement and straight zoning to see if we could arrive at a development agreement and you saw it today, an annexation, a plan for development, a rezone, and a comprehensive plan amendment completed in one day. We offered to Mr. Christie and his team this method as being a faster, more transparent, more efficient way of bringing new development into the city. He agreed, and I want to thank him. He's, while this is not the first development agreement we've done, this is the first of its size. 387 acres is a good piece of land. It's a difficult piece of land to develop, and I'm thankful for this development team for allowing us the chance to do it. We did arrive here at a much faster pace than we would have through the plan unit development, and I want to thank the council for the support for all the actions we've taken over the last 10 years now to get to a point where we can try something new and see it. Time will tell how this works. We have great experience with PUDs, so on behalf of the Community Services Department, thank you for your support in getting us to where we landed today. And with one more vote, we'll actually be there. But I wanted a chance to thank you and kind of lay out the history.
For me. Now
Oh, sorry, Scott. That's all the comments I have.
Thank you, John.
And,
Mr. Christie,
again, I wanted to thank
you,
Scott.
Scott, thank you so much for allowing us to do this. It's a big step, I think, was maybe a little dangerous, I think, at sometimes, but We don't shy away from danger, do we, John? Hell no, we just go right after it, so. Bring it on, we'll challenge it, and we'll make it work some way. And it'll be all legal when it's all done. Right, Chet?
Exactly.
I knew he would say that. So. Again, thanks. Any comments from the staff or from the council, I mean, before we move on?
Mr. Deere is on the board.
Yes, can I?
We haven't had
Mr.
the
Mayor, do you mind
public
if I say something?
hearing yet. Go ahead, Chris.
I just want to say something. I want to thank Scott Christie and Blake Smith and our staff. This has been a little bit of a long road for them, I know, and putting it all together, but they've been working great with the staff, and the staff's been very patient with them. Going back and forth and where we're at is really because everyone was willing to work together and get where we're at. And I think we have a great use for that land, and this is, I think, how it's supposed to go. I know we always want to speed up government, but I just want to thank everybody involved, and I think that this is going to be a very beautiful and awesome place as people get to start moving in there in years to come.
Well, you know what to say. We're with the government. We're here to help you, right? Somebody get over. Any other questions from staff or for applicant? Okay, this is a public hearing, so I'll open the public hearing. Anyone in the public want to speak to this particular item? Okay, seeing no public speaking, we'll bring it back to council for action. Questions? Okay, looking for a motion. Mr. Dare.
I move based on findings Z1 through Z3 as set forth in the staff report to adopt Bill 2740 to rezone real property approximately 386.87 acres in size located at 555 Highland Ranch Parkway, Sparks, Nevada, from A40 to SF6, single-family residential, 6,000 square foot lots, and C2 general commercial.
Mr. Abbott.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Dare, second by Mr. Abbott to approve 11.4. Rezone. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, please vote or say aye.
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 Passes unanimously. Thank you, folks. Thanks, everybody. Mike, thank you. Scott, you picked a good guy there, two good guys behind to do these, run you through this, so we appreciate your work. Thanks. Okay, comments from the public. Anyone want to speak under, go ahead, Mr. Ryder, come on up.
Thank you once again. My question is number 10-1 we talked about. The cost of the signs and how many are we going to have to put up was not asked. Do we have any idea about that?
Signs for?
For the non-smoking?
Oh, okay.
Mr. Mayor, well, I know it's not normal for us to answer questions.
Sure, go ahead.
In this particular case, the signage that we have was in need of update. We've just held off so we could add the one extra line for smoking at this pass. So it's part of what's already been budgeted. It's part of what was needed to update all the signs in our various parks. And so we didn't isolate the vaping, smoking piece and attribute any additional cost to it at this time. So I can find out what the total cost is, and I can get a hold of you directly.
Thank you very much. The other one is on 11-1. The fire road. How come they couldn't tell you where the fire road's going to be?
Well, I think they probably have to look at the property and see how it's gonna be built and so on and so forth. I'm just imagining that that's the case. And then they'll make a final decision when they've figured everything out where everything's gonna go. I'm sure they don't know exactly where each house is gonna go now or each commercial piece or whatever. So as soon as they figure that out, Bill, I think then they'll be able to figure out where the fire road.
Will they have to come back to the council here and explain it?
I
or
don't
what?
believe so. No, okay.
Except for the tentative maps.
Yeah, okay, except for the tentative maps. Will those include the fire roads then or not? Probably not. Yes, they will. Okay. So again, it will have to probably come back to the council, so the fire roads will be in at that time.
Good.
Okay,
Thank
everybody
you.
shaking their head yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Well, I lucked out and said something correctly. Okay, comments from the mayor, city council, or city manager? Mr. Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have an announcement. The following committee appointment is available: Arts and Culture Advisory Committee, one member filling a partial term, which will end November 6th of 2018. This position does require a humanities background. Persons interested in serving on this committee should complete a community service application available from the city clerk's office. May also apply online at the city website, www.cityofsparks.us. Click on Government on the webpage. Then under Boards and Commissions, click Volunteering for Sparks Board and Commission. Then fill out the online application and submit. Applications will be accepted until the close of business on Thursday, July 30th, 2018. Thank you.
Mr. Driscoll, staying at the Holiday Inn Express, does that meet the humanities portion of this?
We'd have to look at the application.
Damn it, I guess that leaves me out then. Okay, anybody else on the council want to say anything? Mr. Dare, go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to say to all of our team and Ron Smith getting on Mayor and Ed and Charlene, I think it's awesome. It's been a great year and a half working with everybody, and I'm very pleased that our team, in a very real sense, gets to stay together. And I do like what Charlene said earlier, that we don't just really, we're not just our ward, we really work together for our city, and we'll continue to do so. But congratulations to everybody, and I'm in Little Rock at a conference for our city and for our state, and I'll be back soon. But just congratulations, everybody, and it's just, we have a great team.
Thanks, Christopher. I am suspect of that one guy named Smith, though. That's a mayor named Smith. Just there's a lot of those, I think, and I don't know that they're all got the same right names or anything.
Well, sir, we're going to miss you, sir, for sure, and thank you for your service.
Christopher, you'll forget about me after the second meeting. Don't worry about it.
That's not so. I hear my name being spread around there pretty easily. So be polite to me, would you please?
Well, that was good, Ron. We didn't hear a word you said, so thank you very much.
Well, okay, then I'll just shut up.
Yeah, that's perfect. I hope you'll do that when you're the mayor, not like me. So, okay, anybody else have any comments?
He's got the job down already.
Okay, seeing no further business, I think we should be adjourned before I get carried away. Adjourned. Thanks, boys.
Okay.
Ron.
Has left the conference.
Christopher Dare.
Has left the conference.
I'd like to call to order the Sparks Redevelopment Agency meeting of June 25th, 2018, with a roll call.
We have a guitar solo.
I didn't know Sam Dene was invited today.
So ready for the roll call?
Yes, thank you.
Chairperson Bybee,
Here?
agency members Abbott,
Here.
Lawson,
Here.
Smith absent, Martini,
Here.
Dare absent, agency attorney Adams,
Here.
and Chief Administrative Officer Driscoll.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Okay. Yes, Mayor Martini?
Chad, what do we need for a quorum here? There's only 4 out of 6, so we're okay, right?
Yeah, you're fine.
Do we have to vote 4-0 or 3-1 okay?
No, you're gonna have to have a regular simple majority as you would with any other quorum.
So 3-1 then?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No, you need 4 out of 6.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
You'll need 4.
Okay, good. So 4-0 then.
4-0 is what you're gonna have to have.
We can do that, I'm sure. Go ahead.
Okay. Moving on to item number 3, public comment. Do we have any public comment? Seeing none, I will move it back to item number 4, agenda 4.1.
Move to approve, Madam Chair, as outlined by staff.
I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented by agency member Martini. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by agency member, if I can say it, Abbott. Any discussion?
What if I vote?
Please vote.
Aye. I have to vote now, holy.
We have no agenda.
You can vote however you would like.
Put yes in there. All right.
Okay. Motion passes with 4 positive votes. Item number 5.1, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of the minutes of the Sparks Redevelopment Agency meeting of May 29th, 2018. Do I have any corrections, additions, or a motion?
Move to approve, Madam Chair.
Motion to approve by agency member Martini, second by agency member Lawson. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion carries with 4 votes. Item number 6, business items. 6.1, report of claims and bills approved for payment and appropriation transfers for the period May 10th, 2018 through June 6th, 2018. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve, Madam Chair.
Motion to approve by Agency Member Martini. Do I have a second? Second by Agency Member Lawson. Any discussion? Please vote.
Press the green button, you know.
A lot of pressure on me.
Motion carries with 4 votes. Item number 6.2, consideration, discussion, and possible ratification of a contract approved by the Sparks City Council on April 9th, 2018, utilizing redevelopment Area 1 funds for the replacement of the security cameras at the city parking garage, APN 032-341-33, adjacent to the Victorian Square Movie Theater, in a total amount not to exceed $70,631.64.
All right, good afternoon, members of the Redevelopment Agency. For the record, my name is Brian Kaysen, Capital Projects Manager for the City of Sparks. I'm here today for the possible ratification of a contract to install security cameras within the parking garage adjacent to the Victorian Square Theater in the amount of $70,631. At the May 29th, 2018 Redevelopment Agency meeting, staff was given direction to have the city attorney investigate any potential liability with the installation of security cameras within the garage. After extensive research from the city attorney, he's provided a legal opinion that the installation will not create undue legal liability against the city of Sparks. The city attorney's findings are fully outlined within the staff report. And with that being the end of my presentation, staff recommends ratification of the contract to install security cameras at the parking garage adjacent to the theater. And I will now answer any questions you may have. And of course, Chet will possibly be able to answer any further questions if needed.
Do I have any questions or comments? Mr. Abbott,
I was just gonna make a motion.
I'm ready for a motion.
Perfect. I move to ratify the contract approved by the Sparks City Council utilizing redevelopment Area 1 funds for renovation of the city parking garage APN 032-341-33 adjacent to the Victorian Square Movie Theater in a total amount not to exceed $70,631.64.
Second?
A motion. Okay, now I'm on. Okay. I have a motion by Agency Member Abbott with a second by Agency Member Martini. Any more comments? If not, please vote. Motion carries with 4 votes. Okay, we are going to item number 7, 7.1, comments from the public. Do I have any comments from the public? Seeing none, move back to comments from the agency and Chief Administrative Officer. Any comments? This meeting is adjourned.